episodes of show. This is the Tuesday 9 p.m. every other week edition of the show. Here's Marty and here's Talia. Thanks. Whoa. I don't usually hear that music. You know, when Abe used to run the show, he used to do this professionally. We used to be able to see and hear everything. We used to know our cues. We used to know everything. As soon as he left, the show's quality kind of just went down the toilet. I'm afraid to train you, Marty, on this because it becomes the copy of a copy, right? Because Abe trained me, and it's like slightly skewered to the. Oh, I got some cuts on my fingers. That's Minions and some PJ Masks band-aids there for you. Yeah, some cuts on my fingers. Yeah. That's usually what happens. This is Bert, Ernie, right, and Elmo. Elmo, believe it or not, he requires the biggest blood sacrifice of them all. It's how he stays red, because he has to drink the blood of those that are willing to be his friends. So that's the dark secret of Sesame Place for those of you that don't know. Okay, so we're the proverbial we are going to talk about BlacKkKlansman. I'm not going to do much talking about BlacKkKlansman. I'll chime in about Spike Lee and whatever else comes up. I didn't get to see the movie. I've had some car issues. Well, for those of you that have seen some of the news footage of, she says this may just be me, but she can only hear me. My wife can only hear me. You guys talk. That's not good. All right. Do you have the show on? Does someone have the show on? I know Talia does. Well, you should check with her. See if she can hear anyone else but me. Great. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to put this little broadcast alert. We'll be right back. Please stand by, and we'll be back. Okay, let's see if we're back.
Well, do you see levels or anything on your side?
I do now, yeah. I did before. So let's see if we hear you guys again.
Hello, hello?
Well, do you see levels or
anything? Yeah, I hear you.
Hey.
Oh, here, we're back. There you go. So, hey, listen, at least I got to test out the we'll be right back. You know.
I just like that you were, in the first few minutes of the show, just heard talking about Elmo and the blood and stuff with no context, and then,
Hey. This is how we roll here.
Just showing your fingers like this.
It's a very creepy beginning to the show.
We've had worse.
Yeah, we have. At least we have one viewer that was watching
who watches and listens.
Because imagine just doing this live and getting through the whole show and no one says anything.
If just Aaron was just doing the dishes or something, we would have just done a whole because no one else would have told us.
Nope, no one would have known. Okay, so as I was saying, we will talk about BlacKkKlansman, as in you guys are going to talk about BlacKkKlansman. I'm not going to. My car was totaled in the floods in New Jersey, so
great flood.
Did not really have a chance to drive out and see the movie lately. I got a new car though, for anyone who's wondering.
Dadmobile, cool Dadmobile, Dan got.
It's a very cool Dadmobile. There you go. It's a nice car. I was very happy with it. So now I can drive to the movies again. Just not today, because I was doing yard work, as Marty knows.
Yard work.
Let's do yard work. I'm on vacation, so I took my kids to Sesame Place yesterday, and I did yard work today. So it's vacation, right?
Just
It's
living that dream.
It's America.
I took a week off this year as well, so I can't even bitch. I can't say anything to you because I took a week off and I did yard work as well. And
I see.
it's just kind of, puttered around the house.
And you put down all of that stuff in the backyard and it floated away, right?
All gone.
Yeah,
I just replaced it the other day. So there you go. See, we used to have it would just rain normally, back in the day, and now it's, torrential Orlando, Florida style downpours every other day. And you could be driving and then be flood and you don't have a car anymore. And there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's gonna rain tonight.
Sure.
Oh.
We might float away during the show.
Erin says to me, she's like, "Yeah, is it gonna rain overnight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what the weather app says." She's like, "Oh, good, because it hasn't rained for a couple hours."
In California, over here, we need rain.
Yeah, right. Just take some of ours. We got plenty.
God, it's so hot. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, we don't get normal weather anymore. We'll adjust, I suppose.
We got 100 degrees or Noah's Ark worth of flooding. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I'll chime in as I can, but Marty, go ahead. Floor is yours. BlacKkKlansman.
Yeah, well, of course, this was the hot topic of last couple of weeks. Spike Lee's new movie, starring John David Washington, Adam Driver, among others. It's the story. I mean, I don't want to go too much of the story. Most people have seen this movie now, know it's been in the news enough to know the story. It's kind of an odd movie to review in that it's a movie, but it's also Spike Lee kind of doing a social message throughout the movie as well. So it's hard. You can review it on two different angles. You can review it as a movie. As a movie, it's interesting because it's kind of a offbeat comedy in a sense. It's you see influences of the Nice Guys in it, a little bit of Donnie Brasco thrown in there. So it's a weird. It's got inside this social story they're telling is a general cop movie, where John David Washington's playing Ron Stallworth, the first black cop in Colorado's state history. And they're dealing with all things he, has to deal with. But then they kind of just jump right into the main story, which was him going undercover with the Ku Klux Klan, being Adam Driver they're both playing the same guy kind of in this undercover sting, where the white guy goes to the meetings and John David Washington is on the phone with them the whole time. So it's this weird back and forth. And then that's all based on a true story. But then there's this whole other kind of movie to it. It feels somewhat separated sometimes, and you can see where Spike Lee's influence is in it because it's written by Spike Lee and three other people. Originally, it was written by Charlie Watchell and David Rabinowitz, and they found Ron Stallworth's book a couple years ago, tried to make and said, "Hey, we want to make this into a movie." Apparently, no one had the rights yet, so they shopped it around, and it actually turned out going to Jordan Peele's company after, and this was actually before Get Out. They pitched it to him. So then Get Out comes out, it's a huge hit. So now Jordan Peele can pitch it on a bigger scale. So Spike Lee gets involved, and they can kind of tell during the movie where Spike Lee's involvement takes shape because there are parts in the movie where it's not, it's just not a fact. It's not that these things didn't happen, but as far as it's not true to the story of the book, we'll say. Ron Stallworth's case with the, Ku Klux Klan involvement it's funny in its sense and it's interesting and stuff, but it's not as dramatic as Spike Lee turns it out to be. There are entire parts of the movie where Spike Lee, creates characters and stuff like that. So it's hard to judge it on a pure movie base because you're also having these actors playing these roles and playing this kind of offbeat comedy, and then you also have Spike Lee's introduction with this, the Black Panthers movement and stuff like that. So it's a weird judgment. As it gets to the end, you're thinking at points like, well, I'd like to see part 2 of this movie somehow because John David Washington and Adam Driver are kind of fun as these cop roles, and they're playing off each other really well, and it's just kind of, let's see what the next case is kind of thing. But then you realize, oh, wait, this is a real story, and this is some awful stuff. So it was really an odd back and forth watching it. Some very strong imagery that Spike Lee brings into it. We'll talk about the end, which was kind of completely out of the movie. It just starts showing present day stuff from Charlottesville. And it's just really, it's a punch in the stomach type stuff when you're watching it. But I know I'm kind of rambling here back and forth. But as a movie, it's a great watch. It's really entertaining. The actors are really well. But it's a weird, like I said, it's weird kind of to judge it as a real movie because you're judging it through Spike Lee's message, which is strong, and then also this kind of story of Ron Stallworth, who this weird, interesting cop who actually lived this life and wrote this book, and the movie that came out of that. So,
Talia, what do you think?
I went into this. It was quite funny because I saw it last Monday. And I saw the first showing at my cinema, which was like 11:45. And I was surprised at how crowded it was, because this is a Monday, 11:45 a.m. Do people not work? It's like that sort of thing. And an interesting thing was, in the audience, there was a mixture of races. And there was like there was like 4 black guys, young black guys. And after the movie, they applauded, like really applauded. And I was like, wow. And people were laughing, people were talking, but I was like, please don't talk through this movie because I want to really see this and really experience it. And my expectation was just to be entertained. The ending, Marty, just like you said, it was a punch in the stomach. I actually started crying because I was like, God damn, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And even like David Duke saying, we want to make America great again. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Oh, they'll never elect someone like who's, a member of the Klan. I'm like, how interesting. Everything that he said that was said in this movie is pretty much true today. And I think that was the Spike Lee part of it. Yeah. He was saying like, nothing has changed. Look at what's happening. The KKK is still around. They haven't gone anywhere. They just wear different costumes or different clothes.
See, this is where I disagree. I don't think. I think it has changed. I think it's actually gotten worse. And the reason being is there's a higher population of black people in America today, and they're still pushed down further and imprisoned and treated terribly compared to, say, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? There's social media, which I think has just kind of taken gasoline and thrown it on the burning cross, right? Because now these people that didn't have nationwide reach, maybe they were subject to some states and little pockets of these states, now they have a national or global message, right? And I think that is what terrifies me, and this is why I can argue that it's possibly gotten worse. And to say it's like, oh well, it's not like crowds of black people are being shot with water cannons. No, they're just being shot dead in the streets, and that's the difference, right? They're not being hung from trees by people in white robes. They're being shot and killed in the streets. I mean, to me, like, it's terrifying, and this is where Marty says, "Oh, Dan, you can chime in on at least the social issue part of it because it's true." Is I don't have to see this movie necessarily to say, there's not much that we can say that has changed since then, other than the fact that I think it's either in your face more so now, or it's just out of control. Yeah.
Well, those are the interesting parts of movies that were kind of a little too on the nose, I thought, where they brought up to make America great again. They threw a couple of Trumpisms in there, which were, I mean, I knew what he was trying to do, but it's when you're saying, it's a weird part of the movie where it starts off where it says, this shit happened for real, I think is what the quote was.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was like, all right, it's a little too cute for what the serious topic you're about to bring up. So, but then if you're going to say all this stuff happened, and all this stuff did happen in different ways throughout America's history, I'm not, that's of course, but to then throw in some Trump stuff, throw in some, they had Alec Baldwin starts the movie.
Yeah.
Giving like some kind of tutorial from like the 1950s to like some kind of video you would show to a training video about black people, and he only cast Alec Baldwin, of course, in that because we now associate Baldwin with Trump from SNL. So it's not that it's a cheap shot, but it's like, all right, he's obviously going for something here. And then, like, there's stuff like that where it's like, all right, they're just they're throwing in Trump stuff, and that might not even been Spike Lee. This might have been the two of writers to begin with, but there was times like that where I'm sure it wasn't absolutely necessary to throw that kind of stuff in, but you see what they were doing.
Couple things. Jamil's in the chat. Welcome back from Mighty Morphin
Oh,
Power Ranger Con.
we thought he was still out there. I just retweeted some photos.
Yeah, I thought he was still out there too.
We could have had him. We'd had him on here.
So hey, Jamil. I don't know if he might still be out there, but he's at least watching the show.
Yeah.
According to his Instagram, he is.
Yeah. So he's asking if the movie's any good, and for Marty and Talia, yes, Jamil, it's good.
I mean, it's interesting as far as the actors wise. David Washington wasn't given a whole lot of serious
Denzel's
stuff.
son, right?
Yeah. If I wanted to see a little more of Adam Driver's character, he plays the cop who they say, funny thing too, in the book it never says he's Jewish, but in the movie they say he's Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
So they throw in that stuff to where he's going into the Klan meetings and he's hearing just as much anti-Jewish stuff as he would hear anti-black stuff. So you kind of see him dealing with that and kind of him having to realize that he never had to even think about he's not a practicing Jewish person or anything like that, he says. But now he has to face the realization that, wow, there are some people out there who just see me that way. And I thought they kind of could have given him more to do in that role. They kind of just bail on that at points at the end. And then David Washington, he's a comedic actor for the most part, from what I've seen him in. I've seen him mostly just in the movie, the show Ballers on HBO, where he's very good, but he's just more of a comedic role. And he falls on that a little too much in this movie. Like even the end, one of the big things at the end is that he's kind of clowning David Duke, played by Topher Grace. We mentioned that a couple weeks ago. And it's
I love that.
It's funny, but it's like it's this weird thing where it's like, yeah, they won because they made David Duke look bad. But it's like, all right, he only got more powerful. Yeah. He still ran for president a bunch of times and is even more influential now, you might say, than he ever was. We thought we were kind of done with him. And so he's still and they show shots of him later at the end from Charlottesville, which are kind of just like, all right. So it's like when you said people were clapping, I get that feel. I get that, wanting to clap like that for parts of this movie, but it's like, all right, what are we clapping for? We made David Duke look stupid a couple of years ago, and now, what did we get? Like, I kind of likened it to, remember, Dan, when we saw the post, and there were people who were like, wow, that's a great job they did, and they exposed people, and we kind of left thinking like, well, what did they really do? Then the government still lies, we still go to wars for no reason, all this shit still happens. So it's like, it left me like just empty at some parts where it's like,
yeah, I mean, that's a damn great point. Is if Nixon, if Watergate didn't just set up our country to it's the whole George W. Bush thing, is right. It's like, fool me once, shame on, fool me second time. The fact is, you're not gonna fool me again. And that's like that's what I kind of feel like right now, right? Is after Watergate, after Vietnam, after all this shit, we're a smarter country now. We're a better country. None of this shit's gonna happen again. And then it's just like the 80s, and it's like, oh, cocaine and money, awesome. And it's not even real money, people. This is just debt, right? Sorry, cocaine and debt, people. And it just, the spiraling effect of like, it's like, why was Clinton's, reign so good and nice? The internet. Any president that walks in during the 90s and has the internet and that booming economy of all these internet companies is going to succeed. See, you have this false hope that America's on this, ever since Watergate, I kind of feel we've just been sweeping things under the rug. It's like, no, we're good. We're better now. We're not going to fall for this shit again. We're really good. We're a smart country. And just now the pile under the rug is the fucking house, right? I mean, this is our country right now. Is all the shit that's been crammed under the rug and in the closets. It's all spewing out now, and it's all for the world to see. And that's what's going on right now with politics and with society. And you mentioned this here. It's you have the Klan. It's very anti Mexican, anti-black, anti-Asian, anti-Jew. They're against everyone, right? But it's not like all these groups are getting together to combine forces and to say, all right, let's hold hands and let's go after the Klan, right? They're all like, I'm individually going to take them down, or I'm going to individually take them down. It's just like, Jesus, if everyone just kind of like said, quit the bullshit, like find the true enemy, hold hands, and just fucking go at them full force, then maybe there would be change. But there's all these like, and I get it. It's like, you're looking for your own interests, right? You're trying to protect your own. You're trying to help. But sometimes at the end of the day, that's what they want, right? That's what the bad guys want, is they want us to be splintered. They want us to be kind of fighting each other, because then we're never combining forces to fight them, Yeah, this show went really political. I'm not even drinking
No,
gin. I'm drinking
Coca-Cola.
Look, it says friend.
Friend.
It says friend.
What campaign it is?
Well, it was interesting. There was also, there's a police movie, of course. So there's a lot of we protect our own cop stuff in there as well. There's one cop they keep showing throughout the movie who's not unlike the our boy from 3 Billboards Outside of Missouri, playing that kind of role where it's like, and everyone knows he's a racist. Everyone knows he's a piece of shit. He actually, he harasses the lead female role in the movie, and everyone knows it happened. But everyone says like, hey, that kind of protect the blue line fucking shit that we still hear today. But I mean, and again, at the end of it, they kind of wrap that up and they get him and they throw him. But it's like, all right, again, it's like one of those hollow victories where it's like, okay, they got that one cop off the force, but you tell me everything in the 70s was great after that.
I found that scene funny. That scene was hilarious.
Like I said, there was a comedy movie wrapped inside a Spike Lee kind of message, and it was kind of a weird juxtaposition sometimes.
But I think that was clever on Spike's part, because Spike is very controversial, and if you look at his films from Do the Right Thing to, I would say, Malcolm X, during that period, his movies caused a lot of controversy, and because they seemed to be too serious, they hit a nerve. So I remember the last film, not the last one, but the Summer of Sam, which I think is one of his best.
I like Summer of Sam.
I love that movie. A lot of the Italian Americans were getting pissed off at him. It's like, Spike Lee hates Italian Americans. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He loves them. He's fascinated by them. I mean, his best friend is John Turturro. I mean, really. And I think, and plus Michael Imperioli, he wrote the script. But he was getting death threats because of it, because of that film. And I think he said, okay, fine, I'm going to try to send my message, but send it in a comedic way, a la Dave Chappelle. So, the character was pretty much like the Dave Chappelle character. What was it, Bill Buxley or something like that? Yeah, the blind,
that's
the
the
black
vibe you
blind.
get from the commercial. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. But he was still sending a message, but to do it comically. Yeah, so I think that was very clever on Spike Lee's part, just in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely works. I mean,
it's interesting, without seeing the movie but seeing the commercial and getting the story of it, it's like, it just seems weird. It's like, okay, we got this one dude that's playing the one cop on the phone, and then we're gonna send this other white dude, and it's just like, now they have to like figure out how to play each other and work and be the same character and the same, talking the same mannerisms and voice.
Yeah, there was a lot of things about the white voice and the black voice kind of stuff. And David Washington's character speaks somewhat oddly throughout the movie, I'm not going to lie. Even when he's talking just to other black people, he kind of keeps this proper white tone voice. And it's kind of the joke of why, even the white, superior white cops like, oh, why are you talking like that? You don't think we can speak proper? That kind of going back and forth. And then Adam Driver has, they when Driver goes to meet the KKK people, it's like, you sound different. They do that shit. And then they try. There's one crate. It's a weird thing about the KKK too. Is like, there's always like the normal guys, like, oh, that guy's not that bad. So when there's one decent guy around the guy who just wants to kill everybody, it's like, well, that guy's not that bad. But then you realize, well, he also just hates black people and Jewish people. He's just a little nicer about it. But
he
then,
might be even worse.
Yeah.
If you think about it,
I forgot to get the actor's name, but he's the one who's like, all right, let's not let that guy running things because he's a lot out of control.
That guy's from Finland. That actor's from Finland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had seen him in some things.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. I'm like, what?
I was going through IMDb and I was flipping through the characters and actors.
And then there's the one KKK guy who's
people.
just a fat stupid. You can barely.
That guy was in
speak.
I, Tanya.
Yes,
He played
that
the
was
dumbass in I, Tanya.
Oh, that was the
Yes,
dude from My Tanya?
our favorite guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, he was really
Yeah.
good.
What the fuck? Galooly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he was really good.
Show
in
on the
My Tanya.
Bodyguard.
Yeah, Show on
That's
the
it. Yeah.
Bodyguard, yeah.
He actually retweeted one of our tweets.
Yeah, he did. I'm sorry.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Really?
But yeah, there was some stereotypical stuff in there, and then there's the cop stuff where it's like, the captain's yelling at this guy, So it's like I said, there's some generic cop stuff and mixed with this weird, this social justice movie. And then the female lead was really good, but I was kind of upset to read that she didn't really exist. So that kind of ruined it for me.
Didn't exist.
Well, yeah, she there's a female character in the movie who is the head of the black student union at the local college.
Yeah.
And so the movie starts with Washington's sent over to kind of keep tabs on them as well. And that's the real story from the book, is that his job was actually just to keep tabs on all the what people call extremists in the area. So he would go to the progressive meetings, and then Driver's character would go to the KKK meetings, and they would just kind of squash things that were happening. Like if they would hear about an event happening or some kind of violence that would happen, they would just kind of quietly shut it down so that nothing would happen. So it wasn't as dramatic as the movie portrays it, the whole thing out where there were bomb threats or people were going to get killed and stuff like that. They were just kind of squashing tension in the area. I mean, I'd like to read the book at some point. It must be interesting.
What fascinates me is, I mean, there's been kind of a CIA, reports of the fact that the Klan had plans to infiltrate the police force, right? This is a well documented, plan of theirs was to just become, members of the police force, because once they're police, once they're in police, then they can kind of run their agenda. So what irks me is that, that blue line, right, where cops protect cops. Cops should protect good cops, right? It shouldn't just be every cop. I would say, and statistically I don't have this, but I would say probably 99.9% of cops are good. But the problem is, if 99.9% of planes landed, right, that would be terrible. So I think that's a point, right? Is how many cops we have in the United States. And you can say 99.9 are good. That means that 0.01 are bad. And that's a shitload of people. Mm-hmm. And I want to look towards that 99.9 to fucking root them out. Honestly, to protect them because they're another cop is just, to me, it just seems, counterintuitive or the opposite of what you should be doing as a cop. Like, you're protecting and serving. You're not protecting and serving other cops. You're protecting and serving the public. And if there's a bad cop, you should be like, all right, listen, due process, let the investigation go through. I get that, but if the evidence is showing that this dude's bad, and like, you hear the stuff, it's like, oh well, that's just Jim. He's a little racist, but come on. I mean,
well, that was a lot of Three Billboards as well.
Everyone just knew. Right?
Yeah. Like, if I got rid of all the cops are racist, I don't have any cops,
Right.
I mean, it's a funny line. I laughed out loud when I heard it, but it's like, Jesus.
Yeah. Listen, I know some cops, like Facebook friends, a couple of guys that I used to, one of the guys I used to work with years ago. He became a cop in New York City, so I see his feed, and he's very pro cop, and anytime that there's something like, going on, it's like, I gotta protect them. It's just like, come on, dude.
But I wonder if your friend, if what's happening, if it happened to him, if the ball was in his court, the tables were turned, how would he feel?
Listen, and that's part of the problem, right?
But that's part of life in general, I think, too. If you're at work and your best friend at work is slacking off or doing something, do you rat him out? I mean, I don't know. If your best friend killed somebody, do you rat him out right away, or do you try? I can see where they run into issues like that, but it's kind of the general we don't rat on our own blanket statements, I think, that cause the main problems, where it's like, oh, you know, blue line, you know, you see, it's funny. Black Lives Matter was a problem because, you know, you can't say that, but Blue Lives Matter, no one thought that was an issue. You know, you can say, when people say Black Lives Matter, they go, no, all lives matter. But when someone says Blue Lives Matter, it's like, damn right. Like, well, and it's tough. I mean, you know, cops, of course, like you said, 99.9%, they, you know, are out there doing the horrible things but it's also the job they signed up for. So,
yeah. So how's this rank in the Spike Lee pantheon of films? Is it one of the better ones, you think? Is it middle tier?
In my opinion, I think it's his best film since Inside Man.
So that's what was it? 2002 was Inside Man? 2004?
2004.
Inside Man is. We just wrote. We're just talking about directors.
It was early thousands, right? Inside Man. It wasn't late 90s.
No, they put too many of his quasi work.
2006 was Inside Man. Yeah, there you go. So Inside Man was 2006.
Yeah, they put too much of his ancillary work in his director's list. Yeah, man, it's right up there. It's something different. I really enjoyed him taking.
He didn't do a ton after Inside Man, you know, because it seems like for a while he was just doing a bunch of little stuff, and then it was Old Boy, right?
I didn't see that.
I've heard Chirac is really good.
Yeah,
really?
The other guy who wrote this also wrote Chirac with him.
Chirac, like
I know.
Chirac.
Nick said he liked that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's really it for movies. Since
he's done some. Yeah.
You know why? Because he's a professor at NYU.
Oh, is he? Yeah, he's
yeah.
I mean, he's done a lot of projects. It's just all.
Listen, you know, even his not so, you know, Crooklyn, Clockers, he got Game. I mean, he got Game's good.
Yeah.
Girl 6.
I
never saw Girl 6. I had no interest in seeing Girl 6.
Bamboozled, I didn't care for. I thought that was weird.
Oh, Bamboozled was pretty good. I like Bamboozled.
Then he directed Kings of Comedy, which is great. I mean, but you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like Bamboozled.
He directed John Leguizamo. He did a couple of comedy show directions.
John Leguizamo. Which one for John Leguizamo?
Freak. I think that was the first one.
Oh really? Okay, I didn't know that.
I'm just thinking, I saw a good stretch of Spike Lee movies in the theaters for a while because I saw Bamboozled.
Yeah, it was
Summer of Sam. I saw 25th Hour. I like 25th Hour a lot.
I love 25th Hour.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a good stretch that I saw you know, every year. I saw Clockers. I remember seeing Clockers. Maybe not in the theater. I saw that on like VHS. It was with Mattel. Yeah.
Still think Malcolm X is a masterpiece. I don't know.
Malcolm X is fantastic.
Yeah.
That just doesn't.
Pretty good person, you know. But the movie.
I mean, just Denzel was just tour de force in that fucking movie. Yeah, so I mean, the end of the movie we'll talk about. The movie ends where the case is closed, whatever, and then they have one more joking call to David Duke, where they admit to that he's been fucking with him the whole time. You know, that I read later that wasn't the case. David Duke didn't find out till sometime in the mid-90s, apparently.
He didn't find out till this movie came out. No.
Yeah, I think he found out sometime around the book or something like that, actually. So they never actually told him. So that happens, and then they cut right to the Charlottesville coverage, and just Trump speaking in general. And I swear, just seeing him speak just fucking makes my stomach turn. I have to say it. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed the whole some of them are good people speech shit, and then they show the guys in the fucking tiki torches marching. It's like, oh.
So you're not shooting this from West Virginia right now, Marty? You're not down there in West Virginia.
Yeah, gotta go back down to coal country because there's bad news today. So I gotta fucking lie about coal jobs.
Listen, I mean,
cunt.
West Virginia is one of the most beautiful states that I never want to drive through ever again.
Oh God, it's a fucking dust bowl. Geno Smith sucks. West Virginia can fucking have him.
Now
But that's the thing.
He's going sports now, ladies and gentlemen.
That too, like we talked about before, how we just kind of shit happens, and we just like today, the president's lawyer and the president's campaign manager were indicted and pled guilty. And I was reading the whole thing. I was like, nothing's gonna happen. The people who cared, care more, and the people who didn't care don't care even less. I mean, it's like why are we wasting time with this shit?
I love the Michael Shannon tweet that you the excerpts from the Playboy interview. Talia, did you see that Michael Shannon?
I did. I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah. But I mean, he's dead on right though. I mean, honestly, Trump is not a stupid person. All along, he's been setting this up as, if I lose the election, it's rigged. Everything's rigged against me. So if I lose, it is rigged.
And he was saying that because he meant to lose the first time.
Right. And then as soon as all this stuff started coming out, it's, there's only collusion is the collusion of that they're trying to get me, and this is a witch hunt. And it's seared into the brains of people right now. The people that love him. If he ever got indicted or if he ever got impeached, there'd be fucking riots. And there'd be people saying, deep state fucking insanity,
or whatever the fucking nonsense.
InfoWars bullshit. Like, honestly, there's no escape from this other than to just, like, you try to ride it out and say after 2 years, he's just gonna fucking get bored with it. And he's gonna have no consequences from any of this shit, and he can just walk away richer than he was before. Because Lord knows he probably didn't have as much money as he said he did before being president, and then afterwards he's going to make some money. So let him open up his fucking news network that he's planning to do anyway when he's going to... That's the ending of this story that we're looking for. Not looking for, but that is going to happen.
Hope.
At this point, you're just hoping that he's going to get bored and just say, listen, I made America great. Next guy's going to fuck it up.
Yeah. So he can go back to being the commentator he wants to be without the consequence.
But you know what I want? This is the fall of Rome. And he's Caligula. And I hope he ends up like Caligula. I saw the movie and I read the biography about Caligula. I'm fascinated with that person because I'm like, how fucked up can you be? How can one person... I mean, this is pre-Scarface, Wolf of Wall Street bullshit. He was the originator. I think he was even crazier than Henry VIII. I thought he was crazy. I'm like, Jesus, no. Caligula takes the cake for me. Yeah, this is it. It's the fall of Rome again.
I mean, and then you start to wonder. It's like, okay, everything that's all these elections, all these things that are going on in Europe and everything. You start to see Putin has had a hand in it, right? And you're like, it's just brilliant, right? I mean, this guy's ex-KGB. He knows how to just win without having to fucking actually do anything, right? He's not starting a war. He doesn't need to start a war. No. He doesn't need to shoot a missile to cause chaos. The biggest chaos is having people divided. He knows that. That's brilliant,
Yeah.
Allegedly.
My thing is that
allegedly. Come on. Allegedly.
My what I hate the most is that we're stuck with these fucking people now forever. It's like the Kardashians. One is a model, one is doing this, one's that. Ivanka's gonna run one day.
No.
Or fucking douchebag Junior, when he's done banging every Fox News broad he can get his hands on.
Junior be lucky if he doesn't end up in prison. Honestly.
For fucking fucking. I'm hoping he just gets eaten by one of the things he tries to kill one day.
Marty, truth isn't truth. Truth isn't truth. Just remember that.
They just keep they love throwing Rudy out there because he's gonna fucking say nonsense, and it's gonna fucking take over the news cycle because the news cycle is a bunch of fucking kittens with a string at this point, and just fucking.
Didn't he retire? Did he retire?
And nothing to blame but ourselves because New York and New Jersey propped up that piece of shit because he went to a few funerals.
I love the interview. He's like, it's like, Mr. Mayor, you're going to be a meme now. It's like, don't do this to me.
Chuck Todd sucks.
God.
God.
Drinking soda today too, and I'm this angry.
Wow.
This is the Coke. This is the Coke Zero curse off.
Coke Zero.
Zero sugar, Marty. Get it right. Coke.
I'm on
There's
caffeine-free
no
Coke. Fucking Zero.
caffeine free. Come on,
I don't
Marty.
think it's caffeine free. I think there's some caffeine in there, man.
Oh Christ! Yeah, I've reached a point where I don't talk much politics anymore because it's just
It's kind of you know, I'll bring up something to my wife and she'll look at me. Just don't.
yeah. Like I love my in-laws, but they still believe that like something's gonna happen out of all this. Like they have hope that he'll get indicted or something bad. I just like yeah, we'll see. And like I just eat my chicken and rice and be like yeah, well, all right.
We need to find a Brutus to end it like Brutus kills Caesar. It has to be like that. That's the only way.
Well, Pence ain't doing it because he got the
Pence
spine.
Yeah, right. No, it's not gonna be Pence. Like yeah.
Pence gets offended if you don't kneel at the anthem, and he'll walk out of the stadium because clutches pearls as he walks out.
See, Kasich was Trump was attacking Kasich, and Kasich just like replies back with a tweet of like Putin laughing.
Yeah, it's like that's where we're at. We had governors and the president just bitching at each other on Twitter
wars.
like fucking they're like it's Nicki Minaj and Cardi B at the VMAs or something. It's just
it's that whole it's the magician or the grifter's trick, right? It's like I'm gonna do something over here. Look over here, and I'm gonna pick your pocket, right? This is all that this is. It's all this is distraction. Anytime one of these things hits the news, there's probably something happening in Congress that we're not aware of that's fucking stealing money from us behind our backs.
Yeah, well, it came out this week. All those taxes that were now we got to start looking at Medicare and Social Security. Like, wow, no one saw that coming. But that's that. The news can't spend 5 minutes on that because Rudy fucking word salad is too much good video or something. And we got Omarosa back in the news because she wrote a book, and even though we know she's a piece of garbage, we'll put her out there because she's on our team now. Fuck off.
She's not on my team.
So this episode devolved into exactly what I predicted it to devolve
this is what it figured. If we do what I think we should do
the
next
actors
week.
in the movie.
We'll have to hit Jamila for next week, I guess.
Yeah, I think that'll be good for him.
Week?
There's a new documentary coming out on Hulu, I think this weekend, about like 5 or 6 New York cops that did exactly what we hoped they would do and kind of started turning on some of the bad cops. And so I just saw the trailer for the other day. I thought it'd be interesting.
So Jamil's saying he was raised by a cop, so I think
I
it'd be
didn't know
perfect
that.
to have him on to talk about that one. So.
And I think our old friend Nick has had some dealings with the police in his day. Not for anything nefarious, no, put that out there, but he has his own perspective on dealing with cops. So it should be a fun show. Not fun, but
we can't have 4. We have to weed someone out. You have to pick someone. I'll drop out then.
I think Jamil.
We can't have 4.
No.
Can't have 4.
The rule.
You know what happens? The rule 3.
The rule of 3. But again, like I said, we'll circle back to the movie just in case anyone's still watching. It's real. I mean, it's worth seeing. I don't think it's going to be. There'll be talk as far as Oscars when it comes around, but I don't think it's on that level. Maybe Spike gets nominated, but I don't think any of the actors get it. Like I said, I think Adam Driver outshines Washington, and he should have been given a little more to do. I think that story was interesting as well. The female lead I mentioned is the same girl from Spider-Man: Homecoming, so that was very impressive to see the kind of range she has. Wow. But her role was interesting too, in that she didn't really grow much. She all cops are pigs, that kind of shit throughout the movie. And then even at the end, she's like, "Oh, I can't be with you because even now I know you're a cop." So she didn't grow all that much. There's the wife of one of the Klansmen was really good, not good, but good in acting, but horrible as a person. And I saw a couple people wrote articles that were like, "We're glad that white woman caught shit for this movie too." And it was Ellis. No, that's not her. She's not that good looking.
Martin.
I said that low. You didn't hear.
Yeah, we all heard. But no, can I just say,
Ashley Atkinson played one of the wives of the the lead KKK fucking nut job, and she
Yeah.
winds up trying to blow up this and then she winds up killing everybody. But like I said, that stuff didn't really happen, so it makes it a little funnier.
What were you gonna say, Talia?
yeah, I was gonna say that Denzel Washington's son sounds just like him, pretty much. You close your eyes, you think it's Denzel. It's insane. I love the chemistry between him and Adam Driver. I really wish, again, just like you said, Marty, they went more into the Adam Driver character, give him more of a, I guess you could say, a character arc. I can understand it was mostly focused on Ron and his struggle with the KKK and his struggle being the only black officer at the Colorado Springs Police Department. But it would have been just to see the background of the other characters, because him and Adam Driver had so much good chemistry. I wonder if that was just put on the cutting room floor, because I'm sure they probably shot some scenes, with him and with those two together. But I felt like the ending was rushed a bit.
Yeah, like the ending where they have David Duke comes to swear in Adam Driver's character, the fake Ron, slower than the KKK, and he did his whole ceremony, and you see it all through John Washington's eyes from the background as he's watching. And I think it would have been nice to see some of it through Driver's perspective as well, because, like I said, he was playing a Jewish man as well, so he's not just. They just show him kind of just taking part in it, where I think he should have been conflicted as well going through this, as they swear him in, then they watch Birth of a Nation, actually, which was hard to watch. And so they're cheering along as that happens, and they show just Adam Driver's character, faking it along, cheering. It would have been nice to see some kind of perspective of seeing his kind of torment as this happened as well. And then Spike did an interesting thing where he corresponds that with I don't get around. I don't know who that actor was who was playing who was giving a speech to the black student union.
Oh, that was Harry Belafonte.
I thought it was Harry Belafonte. Yeah, I don't want to get it wrong, but he's telling the story of. I think it was the man from Florida who was, wrongfully arrested and hung, and all this horrible shit happening. So you're having him tell that story as we're seeing David Duke give a speech about white pride and all that stuff. So it was really, you bounce back and forth. It's kind of, it's just crazy to watch. But like I said, I got to stop doing this when I watch these kind of based on true story stuff. I go after and read about what happened, and to find out that stuff actually didn't happen as it was written in the movie kind of takes some of the sting out for me. But it's still, as a movie, it's an effectively powerful scene.
Yeah. And let's talk about Topher Grace.
He's good. I mean, he's
yeah.
he just kind of plays himself. He doesn't really not plays himself, like he doesn't kind of imitate David Duke or anything like that. He just kind of plays what it sounds like if you called Topher Grace on the phone. He just started talking racist at you, But and he's been in the news too. Like he said, he was getting death threats and shit like that for playing this role. And
oh, really?
Yeah, but he was really. I mean, we talked about him.
Death threats for splicing together the Hobbit movie.
I also think he might get some favorable looks, in a couple months when we see the new Venom, and people think maybe Topher's wasn't that bad after seeing.
You think so? Really? You just have no hope for this new Venom film?
Everything I've seen on that movie looks fucking weird. I don't know.
Even the ending. Oh, I have a parasite. I'll see you later, Miss Chen. Even that.
I think we're getting Bane in a Venom suit, kind of just acting
weird.
Oh
my god! But I don't think that's him doing the Venom voice. I think that's someone else.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. The whole hearing him speak and normally is just odd sometimes. What's his name?
Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Plus, Tom Hardy dodged a bullet too, because he was originally signed on for Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who?
He was going to play
not Rock guy. The guy that looks like him.
No, the main guy.
Really? Oh, the cop, the soldier guy.
The soldier guy. He was signed on to play him, and he dropped out. Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked either.
No. I think he saw the script and he's like.
Well, he would have had better chemistry with Will Smith, but.
Yeah, but still.
I would have saved anything.
Yeah. No.
I also read today that Suicide Squad 2 is still not happening anytime soon. So
Nor should it. Nor should it.
Well, they're making one about the Joker.
I
with,
constantly forget
Leto.
that
Couple,
actually
they're making like 2 Joker movies, right? They got
make them all. Come on.
They got the Leo DiCaprio one. They got a Jared Leto one in the works. There's like 2 or 3 Joker movies in the works.
No, not Caprio. It's
Not Caprio.
Phoenix. What's his name?
Joaquin. Yeah.
Joaquin. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be good. I don't know. I think Aquaman's gonna come out, and we're just gonna finally light a match to this fucking DCEU and just gonna call the insurance company.
It might be the last Movies and Stuff show episode ever. It's Aquaman.
You think so?
We might just watch it and just like, there's no point in going on. Cinema is dead.
Us and the DCEU will die the same fate.
No, DC needs to bring back either Chris Nolan or Tim Burton and Michael Keaton. They need to go back to basics, back to what made them awesome. Not this. I don't know what the hell they're doing now.
That's the thing. They're not even doing anything really. They're just kind of puttering around.
I don't know what they're doing.
Wonder Woman's coming out next year again. I'm sure that movie probably won't be that good after all this kind of build up for it.
And what the hell is Batwoman?
Oh, that's ugly.
What is that?
That's just on the CW. No, that's fine.
On the CW, no one cares about that. Oh, okay. What else we got? Anything else?
That's about it. We kind of
next week.
Yeah, next week I think we're gonna do this documentary from Hulu. And then
let's do the puppet movie.
Puppet movie is also an option for Melissa McCarthy and cursing puppets. That's
I want to see that. It looked funny.
My wife wants to see it, so
there you go.
Well, that's why we need to do the wives episode of movies and stuff. Yeah.
My wife really saw this one. She really liked it. She had the same reaction that Talia had at the end. I had to console her as we left. It was a little... So yeah, it's not the most fun time at the theaters, but it's an important movie to see. I mean, hopefully it did okay. It did good for what it is at the box office.
Was it #1 first week? Or?
No, because people had to go see a movie about a stupid giant shark instead.
Oh, the Meg was last week.
I'm looking at you, Mike Talia, but and then this week, that fucking Crazy Rich Asians is making.
I want to see that too.
It came out of nowhere. Yeah.
Well,
that's awesome though. I mean, that's amazing. That it's an all Asian cast, and
yeah, I mean, Asian people can make shitty movies too, and still get to keep making them. I mean, Adam Sandler gets to do it all the time.
Listen,
BlacKkKlansman made $24 million so far off a $15 million budget. So
that's there you go.
Yeah,
it's a win.
There you go.
It's a win.
It was I think he put it out. I'm not sure it worked as a summer movie, of course, but I think he wanted to put it out on the anniversary of Charlottesville to get that message across. So he might have sacrificed a couple of million at the box office, but it was never going to be a huge,
By August, the summer is dead now. Summer movies stop by August.
I mean, but I'm saying the fact that it came out.
Mission Impossible, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, summer movies now are from February through July. And July is even pushing it at this point.
June. Really.
June might be it, you might have one in July. But yeah, so it's February. End of February, like mid-February, that's when summer movies start. I'm not even kidding, right?
This is again another year where this was, quote unquote, the worst summer box office year ever. But again, I think like you said, they have to readjust what the summer is at this point because climate change is making the summer all year round for some of us. And also, they're putting out movies in March. So.
Well, yeah, big blockbuster movies coming out in February, March.
Yeah. When did Infinity Wars came out in April this year?
End of
March,
April, April 25th or something like that. So.
Whenever Marvel kicks off, that's when summer starts.
February.
I watched that was on demand.
Black Panther was out in February this year.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I watched Avengers again the other day on demand. Yeah. I mean, it's still great. I still enjoyed it, but man, if it's long. It's a long fucking movie. I had a free rental.
Okay. You could use it for something else.
So I was like, all right, let me just watch this. It's fun. Okay. And like I said, it still works. It's still enjoyable. But man, it's like, wow, this is a long fucking movie. And I'm assuming the next one will be even longer. But Jesus. 2 hours and 40 minutes for a superhero movie, it might be too much.
All right, let's wrap this one up. Talia, thank you for joining us. As usual,
Thank you.
always fun. And you can like this video. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Movie Stuff Show.
So on our Twitter, you can see all the pictures I've retweeted of Jamil with his Power Ranger friends
Very cool.
out there
Wow.
in LA.
I'll start tweeting
Power
pictures of
Ranger
my my flooded car and my new car.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Did they tow that away, or is it just sitting out there in the yard?
They're taking it tomorrow. Well, it's been at my mechanic shop since the day after the day of the flood. That night I had it towed over there.
You can use a good yard car.
They're taking it away. They're taking it away tomorrow. So I brought my daughter real quick. I brought my daughter to. I had to get the license plates off the car today, so I brought my daughter over there. She's like, "Daddy, what's gonna happen to this car?" I was like, "I don't know. They're probably gonna have to send it to the pound, and it's gonna get like smushed into a little block or something like that." And you know, we're walking, and I look over, and she's like crying. I'm like, "Annie, what's wrong?" She's like, "They're gonna crush your car." I'm like, "Oh my god." It's like, you know, just don't be that honest to children. Just like, it's gonna go to a car farm with the dogs.
Car farm.
Our
Run
dogs.
out there, you know. Your car's out there with the dogs and everything else, just roaming. Having a good time.
So,
I had that too. It's like where I sold, I just got a new car recently and traded in my car. It's like, and they watch it drive. It's like, oh, what's gonna happen to that thing? You know, it's just like I had that car for 7 years now. It's just gonna fucking be junked. Like, oh,
maybe,
all right.
maybe, right, yeah. So,
Ugh.
good night, everyone. It's been real.
Good night.
Bye.